Hello, we're back again.
It's me. Hi.
Daryl, he joined us again. I'm so excited. Okay, so today we're going to continue talking about traveling as a student or someone who just graduated and still trying to roll on a budget.
Yeah.
So
just picking up where we left off last time, I just want to remind you that you need to take a copy of everything with you wherever you go. So a copy of your passport information page and your visa if you need one. If you have an American passport, you probably won't need a visa, but you know what I mean. Just make sure you have a copy of everything that's important just in case you get stopped for a routine check or you need to be ID'd for something. Make sure you also give travel notices to your banks, and also you might want to invest in a travel rewards card. You get those miles or points that go to tickets as well and accommodation.
No, those are great because depending on the card that you get, you don't get charged international fees when you swipe the card. So if you just use your regular bank card, every time you like buy food and you swipe it, you get charged.
Or withdraw from ATMs.
You get charged. So there's no way to like get out of getting charged withdrawal fees, like unless there's a sister bank to your bank. So I remember I have Bank of America, and in Barcelona they had a sister bank,
BNP Paribas.
Yeah, so I could just like withdraw all the money. But when I was in South Africa, when I was in Nigeria, I got charged every time I withdrew money. So I just started using my credit card anytime I could, and I got rewards for using my credit card. Yeah, so just make sure you pay off the credit card though, because that's where the trouble comes in.
Yeah, there's a rule with a credit card. You never buy something that you
don't have in your debit card to pay for. Yes, and don't pay the minimum. Please just pay it off at the. But I know Janice already told you that.
Okay, and then another important thing is also making sure that you have international medical insurance. I know it's an additional cost, but if you were to get ill or you need to see a doctor, it's definitely worth it. It's a lot cheaper. You can use HTH worldwide. It's a really good provider. Whenever I travel, I use them, and the rates are amazing, and they have student rates. So if you're in school, you can actually even get an extra discount because a lot of schools have partnerships with them with their study abroad programs or SIT programs. So that's something you should definitely check out, HTH worldwide, for international travel insurance, and also check with your study abroad office to see if they have plans. So you can definitely capitalize on those. And yeah, so we can continue.
Okay, yeah, so just quick recap, make sure you have a photocopy of everything because you will lose things, or sometimes you do get robbed, which is why you should, unless you have to, do not take your passport anywhere with you. Like, keep it in a safe place, at the hostel, wherever you're staying. Just don't be, especially at night, because I remember a couple of times, like, you go out and you don't make it home with your passport, and that's like the worst thing that you want to lose when you're outside of the country.
Definitely.
And then also make copies of like including your credit cards. Like, literally, if you get put in a copy machine, make a copy of it.
Yeah, better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move on to like other topics. So we know like sometimes travel outside of the country like may not be something that is that you can afford. You know, when you're still in school or immediately after you graduate. And I mean, like, that's okay, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that are leaving their country to come visit the US. So travel within the US.
Yeah, locally. And I think that if your budget doesn't permit, I think road trips are always, it's a healthy, manageable, less intimidating option.
Yeah.
And you can do it with friends. Tickets are usually like clearly cheaper because they're domestic. You can take the bus or the train. And it's something that always stuns me about, and maybe this is a generalization, but a lot of Americans rarely ever leave their hometowns, much less their home states.
Yeah.
And there are several natural reserves, there are nature parks, etc., that us as foreigners really want to see. So like you said, people are traveling from Japan to see Yosemite.
Yeah,
things
I've never
that.
been.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually like really guilty of that. I've left the country a lot, and when I leave the country, I travel around like all the major cities in whatever country I'm at, or like I try to hop to the next, like, you know, closest country. Ask me where I've been in America. Ask me what I've seen in America.
Yeah, that is something that is it's a great a great, more affordable way of traveling. And, you know, it's baby steps. You can warm up to taking your first maybe overnight flight or whatever. So baby steps, and you might be really surprised at the kind of things that you'll find in your own backyard. It's a really great experience to have.
Yeah.
So accommodations?
Yeah. So for the people who are able to, you know, leave the country. So now, you know, you got your ticket. You've chosen a country. Now what? Like, where do I stay? Like, how do I go about searching for that?
So this is probably one of the most terrifying things to deal with, accommodations, because you have to deal with things like safety. Will I like the facilities there, etc. But thankfully, like we said in the previous video, you check out travel blogs and you can visit places like hostelworld.com. You can check out Travelocity. They have photos of the accommodations, etc. And there's Groupon. So Groupon also does hotel and accommodations, hostels as well. My favorite, personally, is Hostelworld. Hostelworld is amazing.
What is a hostel?
So a hostel is kind of like, it's a mix between a bed and breakfast and a low-budget hotel. So basically, most people, you want a bed to sleep at night, a warm bed, and a place to take a shower, and maybe the option of maybe breakfast or coffee in the morning. So a lot of hostels offer that. And so they're really cheap. They're affordable. I shouldn't say really cheap.
It depends. Some of them are extremely cheap, but you may not want to go to the extremely cheap ones. So
there's a trade-off with like security and stuff. But for the most part, especially in Asia, so I spent like the last 3 years in East Asia. My mom is from India, so I've like traveled around India as well. But hostels in Asia they're amazing. They're beautiful. They're a lot better than the ones in Europe in my experience. And they usually offer breakfast. Most hostels, maybe if they don't offer full breakfast, there might be toast and like coffee or tea, milk, etc. So hostels are definitely the way to go for me at the very least. Hostelworld.com is amazing. But you're like, oh, I don't have enough money to stay for my entire trip at a hostel or a hotel. A lot of hostels, what they do is, if you're an English speaker, native speaker, or if you speak Spanish and you're going to a Spanish-speaking country where they get a lot of English guests, for example, or a French-speaking country, vice versa, etc., etc. You can volunteer a lot of these hostels, and they'll give you free room and board. It might be a 6-bed dorm, so there'll be 5 other people in your room, but it's free, and you get to help out with like English-speaking customers, Spanish or French, things like that. And it's really worth it, because that way you can meet more people, and the more the merrier, you know? So, yeah.
And like, I know some people are weird about sharing their spaces. So hostels are also great in the sense that sometimes you can get a single room in the hostel, or you can get a double. And the more people you have in your room, generally, the cheaper it is. So it just depends on what your comfort level is. So in certain countries, you might decide, okay, I definitely need my own room. But then in other countries, you might decide, okay, like the more, the merrier. So you do have that flexibility.
Yeah. And if you're going with friends, and we're going to get to this later, sharing is caring. And sharing means cheaper prices.
Yes.
Imagine if you go on a vacation with your friends. So if Mary and I and like a couple of other friends decide that we wanted to go to Cuba for a week, and there were 6 of us or 4 of us, and we got a 4-bedroom dorm, for example. It's cheaper, and you're with your friends constantly. So you're making memories, which even makes you spending the money more worthwhile.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I've stayed in an American hostel once. Guess where? You can guess, Austin, Texas. So that's the only time I've stayed in a hostel in America, and I went with my friends. So we basically, let's see, 1, 2, 3. It was 4 of us, 5 of us, I think. So we just rented out the hostel room. But the great thing was, it's like dorm style. Yeah. So once you get into the hallway, you meet all these other people. But like, you come inside and it's just like you and your friends, and you know, you put on music, you help each other with your makeups. Like great times.
Yeah. And trust me, if you've left college already too, you'll kind of miss that kind of camaraderie, that closeness that you have. So if you go on a trip, like right after college, it might be the last time, or if you have a reunion, it might be reminiscent of what you had in college.